What's up, Steelers Nation? Welcome back to another episode of SteelersFix Daily. Today we're diving into one of the most exciting developments on this team in years, the resurgence of the inside linebacker position. For a long time, let's be honest, it's been a sore subject. Since Ryan Shazier's tragic injury in 2017, the Steelers have been searching, clawing, trying everything they could to fill that void in the middle of the defense. We've cycled through Devin Bush, Joe Schobert, Miles Jack, Mark Barron. The list goes on. And every single time it felt like maybe this is the guy. But it never quite clicked. But here we are, 2025. The team goes out to Dublin, Ireland, to face the Minnesota Vikings, a playoff-caliber squad with a high-powered offense. And guess who steals the spotlight? Not just TJ Watt, not just Cam Hayward, but the guys in the middle, Patrick Queen and Payton Wilson. That's right. The Steelers' inside linebackers are finally evolving into the force we always dreamed they'd be. And man, it feels good to say that. Let's start with the play that had every fan on the edge of their seat, the Jordan Addison catch. You remember it? Busted coverage? Carson Wentz drops back. Addison streaks wide open. My stomach dropped. Yours probably did too. It looked like 6 points? Easy. And then, out of nowhere, here comes Payton Wilson. This kid, a second-year linebacker out of NC State, hits another gear. Addison's sprinting, Wilson's sprinting, and somehow this 6'4", 238-pound linebacker is clocking 22.48 miles per hour, the fastest speed a linebacker has ever been tracked at since Next Gen Stats started in 2016. That's not normal. That's not human. That's determination. Wilson trips him up at the 1-yard line, and you know what? Even though Minnesota eventually scored, that play bought the Steelers precious time. Over a minute of game clock, that's the difference between hanging on and collapsing. And after the game, when reporters asked him where that hustle came from, Wilson didn't point to himself. He pointed to his father. Said his dad was up at 3 a.m. every day, working, grinding. Told him if you're going to play, you play the right way. Hustle is non-negotiable. That right there, Steelers Nation, is the heart you want in a linebacker. That's Pittsburgh football. Now look, we've seen guys with speed before, but Wilson has something more, the attitude. 13 tackles against the Vikings, 2 tackles for loss. He's playing like the Bednarik Award winner he was in college, and he's just scratching the surface. But he's not doing it alone. Patrick Queen. Let's talk about him. We all remember last season, year 1 in black and gold. And let's be honest, it wasn't pretty. Queen came over from Baltimore with sky-high expectations. Fans thought he'd be the instant answer. Instead, there were communication issues, missed tackles, and moments where it felt like he wasn't fully comfortable in Terrell Austin's defense. People started grumbling. Did we waste money? Did we get Ravens leftovers? Well, if Dublin was any indication, Queen is shutting those critics up. Against the Vikings, he put on a show. 11 tackles, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss. He was flying around, setting the tone from the very first drive. He wasn't just making plays, he was commanding the defense. His energy was contagious, his presence undeniable. And here's the big thing, his missed tackle rate, which was nearly 14% last year, has already dipped to about 10%. It's progress, it's growth. And when you put him next to a guy like Wilson, who's got speed to erase mistakes, suddenly the middle of this defense doesn't look like a liability. It looks like a weapon. And that, Steelers Nation, is why I'm fired up. Because for years we've been haunted by the what if of Shazier. What if he had stayed healthy? What if the inside linebacker spot never fell apart? Well, maybe, just maybe, this duo is writing the next chapter. Now, in this first block, we've set the stage. We've talked about the Addison chase down, Queen's rebirth, and why it finally feels like we've got something special brewing at linebacker. But coming up, we're going to zoom out. We're going to look at the history of this position in Pittsburgh, the failed experiments, and why this current duo, Queen and Wilson, might finally bring back the standard. Stay locked in. This is SteelersFix Daily. All right, Steelers Nation, let's take a step back and talk history. Because if you're a real fan, you know the inside linebacker spot has always been sacred ground in Pittsburgh. Think about the names. Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, Levon Kirkland, James Ferrier, Lawrence Timmons, and of course, Ryan Shazier. When you say Steelers linebacker, you don't just mean a guy who makes tackles. You mean a tone setter, a leader, someone who defines the identity of the defense. And for a long time, we lost that. After Shazier's injury in 2017, it was like a black hole opened in the middle of the defense. No matter who we signed, no matter who we drafted, it just never felt right. We tried everything. Devin Bush, top 10 pick, didn't pan out. Miles Jack, veteran free agent, flashed here and there, but didn't stick. Joe Schobert, Mark Barron, stopgaps, nothing more. Every year it was another name, another maybe. And every year it felt like the heart of our defense just wasn't there. Meanwhile, look at our rivals. The Ravens always had that guy, Ray Lewis, then C.J. Mosley, even Roquan Smith now. The Patriots had Jared Mayo and Donta Hightower. The 49ers have Fred Warner. It's like every contender had the guy in the middle, and we were still searching. That's why Dublin hit so differently. Because for the first time in years, it felt like we've got our guys. Not just one, a duo. Queen and Wilson. Different players, different styles, but together, man, they're starting to look like the answer. Now let me tell you something about Payton Wilson. This kid isn't supposed to be here. His college story is a roller coaster. Knee injuries, shoulder surgeries, you name it, he's battled it. Most scouts thought his body wouldn't hold up. And yet here he is, running faster than wide receivers, racking up 13 tackles in a single game, and saving touchdowns in crunch time. That's Pittsburgh football. A guy who's been knocked down more times than he can count, but still finds a way to get back up. And then there's Queen. Let's be real, we weren't sure he'd embrace the black and gold after being a Raven. That's a hard transition. He was the enemy, the rival, the guy we used to boo. But now, he's ours, and he's starting to play like he belongs here. Against Minnesota, he didn't just play well, he looked like the emotional leader, flying around, roaring after tackles, getting guys lined up. That's what we've been missing. And you know what? That's contagious. You could feel it watching that game in Dublin. The entire defense fed off their energy. 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, Carson Wentz running for his life. And it all started in the middle. Now I know some fans out there are still skeptical. It's just one game. Let's see if they can do it all season, and you're right. Consistency matters. But don't tell me you didn't feel something shift in Dublin. Because I did. It felt like a rebirth. Like this defense finally found its heartbeat again. And think about the timing. The Steelers are 3-1 heading into the bye week. That's a whole lot different than 2-2. That's momentum. That's confidence. And the way they won, led by defense, led by linebackers, that's Pittsburgh Steelers football. This isn't finesse. This isn't shootouts. This is smash mouth, grind it out, bleed for every inch defense. And it's back in the middle of the field. All right, coming up in segment 3, we're going to talk about what this means for the future. What this linebacker duo could mean for the rest of the season, the AFC playoff picture, and how it shapes the identity of the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward. Stick with me, we're just getting started. Welcome back, Steelers Nation. This is SteelersFix Daily, and we're wrapping up today's deep dive on the inside linebackers with one big question. What does this mean for the future of the 2025 Pittsburgh Steelers? Well, let's start here. We're sitting at 3-1 heading into the bye week. That's not just a good record. That's confidence. That's swagger. That's walking into the locker room knowing you've got something real to build on. And the scary part? This defense hasn't even peaked yet. Payton Wilson is only in his second year. He's still learning, still figuring out how to diagnose plays, how to anticipate instead of just react. And even now, with all that growth ahead of him, he's making game-changing plays. Imagine where he's going to be in November. Imagine where he'll be in December when games really matter. Patrick Queen, on the other hand, is right in his prime. He's seen the highs, he's felt the lows, and now he's finding his rhythm in Pittsburgh. He's got the experience, he's got the speed, and now he's finally got the confidence. You can see it in the way he plays. No hesitation, no doubt. Just attack. And when you combine those two skill sets, you get balance, you get stability, you get a duo that can cover sideline to sideline, stop the run, blitzed the quarterback, and handled tight ends in coverage. That's what makes the difference against teams like Kansas City, Cincinnati, Buffalo. You need linebackers who can erase Travis Kelce, who can chase Josh Allen, who can spy Lamar Jackson. And for the first time in years, it feels like we've got those guys. Think about the playoffs. Every AFC contender has a superstar quarterback. Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, even Herbert. You don't beat those guys by just rushing the passer. You beat them by controlling the middle of the field, taking away the easy throws, forcing them to make mistakes, and that's exactly what Queen and Wilson are starting to do. Now let's talk about identity. Because if there's one thing Mike Tomlin preaches, it's that the standard is the standard. And for too long, inside linebacker play hasn't met that standard in Pittsburgh. But with this duo, it feels like we're getting back to our roots. Back to Lambert and Ham. Back to Ferrier and Timmons. Back to Shazier before the injury. That heartbeat in the middle that defines the entire defense. This isn't just about stats. It's about presence. About having guys the offense has to account for every single snap. About setting the tone for 60 minutes of football. In Steelers Nation, let's be honest. It's been a while since we've been able to say this with confidence, but the inside linebackers are finally back. They're not just filling space. They're making plays. They're flipping games. They're leading this defense into the next era. And let's not forget the bigger picture. We went to Ireland, a historic moment for the franchise, honoring the legacy of Dan Rooney. And who stole the show? The linebackers. That's storybook stuff. That's the kind of memory that carries a team through the grind of a long season. So here's the bottom line. If Payton Wilson keeps hustling the way he does, if Patrick Queen keeps playing with that presence, and if this defense keeps feeding off their energy, then buckle up, because the Pittsburgh Steelers might just have found the missing piece to make them true contenders again. It's not perfect. There's still work to do. Wilson himself said after the game, "If we clean up one thing, we get off the field." At the end of the day, no matter how much field they have to go, we can get off the grass. We were that close. That's hunger. That's self-awareness. That's what you want to hear from a young player. And Queen? He's just getting warmed up. This is his defense to lead. So here we go, Steelers Nation. The linebackers are back. The middle of the field belongs to Pittsburgh again. And if you're the rest of the AFC, you better take notice. This has been SteelersFix Daily. Thanks for riding with us. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Check out the full article now live on SteelersFix.com. Until next time, this is Steelers Fix, signing off. Here we go.